Hi, my name is Deepika Kashyap, and the topic that I have chosen for this assignment is whether punishment is an effective behavior modification strategy for children. First of all, I would like to clarify what I think is the meaning of punishment, what I perceive it to be. And I have taken this definition from the Merriam-Webster dictionary, which states that the act of punishing someone or a way of punishing someone is punishment. It also says that the state of being punished or rough physical treatment is also a form of punishment. So is it effective? Is physical punishment for children effective in increasing compliance and obedience? Did you know that about 94% of American children ages 3 to 4 have been spanked by a parent at least once in the past year? Yet most clinical child psychologists would never ever recommend this parental method, and 1/3 of them believe that it's unethical. Yet, if you are to look at spanking and evaluate it as a psychological intervention, it would qualify as probably efficacious in improving a child's behavior. Child outcomes of non-abusive and customary physical punishment by parents is the report that I am going to talk about, and it's written by Robert E. Lazaire, who is a professor and research methodologist, and who is obviously an expert in this field, as he has obtained a degree in human development and family studies and psychology. His report is a thorough exploration of his experiment, in which he aims to ascertain whether the effect of punishment is beneficial or detrimental to the child, and does it in fact increase compliance, or can it bring the child to act out in their adolescent years. Using the method of gathering data from other reports, he comes to the conclusion that while most results show that short-term outcomes were beneficial, the long-term effects could be detrimental. In this report, the emphasis is placed on non-abusive physical punishment, the kind of punishment that does not have the intention of fatally harming a child, and without dominantly focusing on the severity of the use of punishment, rather the causal effect of it. One of the reasons why I chose this reference as compared to the other ones is because it is highly accurate and the attention to detail is immaculate. A great amount of research has been put into this report from various sources such as PsycLit. The accuracy of this report is evident as the studies had to have a child outcome variable for which beneficial versus detrimental outcomes were reasonably explicit, and had to include at least one case of non-abusive or customary physical punishment by parents. Furthermore, it methodically and logically eliminated measures dominated by severity or abusiveness, eliminating 37 more studies, and measures dominated by non-spanking tactics, because it did focus only on spanking, which is quite relevant to the day and age of today, as spanking is a household form of punishment rather than something quite fatal. Finally, the average age of the child when spanked had to be younger than 13 years of age, eliminating 42 otherwise eligible studies. Obviously, there were some methodological issues, such as the problem regarding different ages, type of outcome, racial background, family status, cause of the punishment. The method that was used to gather this data and to come to the conclusions was a box-square chart or a box-square review, in which he used 38 qualifying studies, 6 clinical studies, 15 uncontrolled longitudinal studies, and 6 retrospective studies. This can be more clearly seen in the pie chart that I have displayed here. For the purposes of summarizing the data, a finding was counted as a beneficial outcome if the physical punishment resulted in increased compliance and obedience and good behavior, so that the same mistake was not repeated. The desirable outcome in the child was only measured at a 0.05 significance level. A finding was counted as a detrimental outcome if physical punishment significantly predicted an undesirable outcome, such as lower self-esteem, more delinquency, aggressiveness, acting out. Overall, the 38 qualifying studies divided almost equally into beneficial child outcomes at 32%, predominantly detrimental outcomes at 34%, and neutral or mixed outcomes at 34%. All 6 clinical studies, including 4 randomized clinical trials, found predominantly beneficial child outcomes, as did 3 studies using sequential analyses. The beneficial outcomes included reduced non-compliance and fighting, and in one study actually enhanced parental affection, especially mother-to-child affection, because it was found that the more a mother spanked her child, the more affection she felt because of that child's ensuing obedience and compliance. So it strengthened that relationship. Almost half, or 47%, of the 15 uncontrolled longitudinal studies found predominantly detrimental child outcomes, and the rest, which was 53%, found neutral outcomes. 2 of the 6 retrospective studies found beneficial outcomes, 1 found detrimental outcomes, and the remaining 3 found neutral outcomes. So the method that he used and the results were quite logically structured, and they were very, very detailed as such. But what was eventually found was that, in effect, short-term outcomes generally showed benefits, whereas long-term outcomes showed detrimental emotional, mental, and physical outcomes. In any case, these conclusions that punishment could be detrimental were basically only seen when punishment was used excessively or too severely. And Lazalet clearly states in his report that these same results could be found from other methods, such as positive reinforcement. Uh, 9 out of 10 analyses showed that compliance increased with reasoning instead of physical punishment. And actually, if reasoning was applied with physical punishment, then the effect would be even better for the child, who would learn more. Overall, Lazalet's study and report showed that yes, physical punishment is an effective behavior modification strategy. But if coupled with a positive reinforcement and reasoning, the child would be even better able to understand his or her mistakes, and learn from it. Thank you.